Hello everyone. Thank you for joining me here today. You are welcome to my channel. My name is Faith and I will be bringing you a beginner's tutorial about HTML and CSS, how to begin with HTML and CSS, telling you about the tools that you need and how you are going to write your first Hello World code. Okay, let's begin. Now, Hello World is a common starting point for beginners. And today I'm going to show you, starting from the needed tools, how you can write Hello World using HTML and CSS. Now, when you begin programming for the first time, when you want to code HTML and CSS for the first time, there are two tools you need, just two. One, your text editor, and two, your browser. So for text editor, let's go to our web browser. For text editor, we have different kinds of text editor. We have, okay, for here, this is Sublime Text, Komodo, VS Code, which is Visual Studio Code. There's brackets, there's text edit. Even your notepad can code HTML, your default notepad on your system. Today, we're going to use Visual Studio Code. Now, they are all good. Visual Studio Code is good. Sublime Text, brackets, Atom, whichever one you are using, they are good. But I prefer using Visual Studio Code. It's just a matter of preference. Although Visual Studio Code, which is VS Code for short, is widely used, is widely supported, and it supports lots of programming language. So that's why I prefer to use Visual Studio Code. Then for browsers, you can use your favorite browser. But for me, I'm going to use Google Chrome. Okay, so if this is your first time writing HTML code, or you just wanted to program for the first time, you can just type in Visual Studio Code on your Google Chrome. Here it is. Click on it, or you click on download directly. Just click on it, then download for Windows. So because I'm using Windows, if you're using Mac, whichever one you're using, it will automatically detect your system and give you what you need. So you can just click on the download for Windows and it will download directly into your computer. So I'm not going to download it again because I already have VS Code. Okay, you might want to say, what about those who do not know how to install? All right, let's just download it. I click on download. Okay, so here it is. My download has started. All right, so it's complete. Just click on it and it will begin the setup. So it says setup has detected that Visual Studio Code is currently running. So close first instance and or click OK to cancel. All right, so let's close this. Now you're going to, click on I accept the agreement. You click next. You click create. If you like for a desktop icon to be created, then you can check this. If not, you can let it be. But as a beginner, so you don't start looking for where your Visual Studio Code is hidden, it's better you create a desktop icon. You click on next. Then here it says install. Now if these places are not checked on your own, ensure you check them all before you continue. When you get to this point, you hit install and it will install and open on your computer. So I'm not going to click install because I already have VS Code on my machine. So I'm going to cancel this now. All right, so once that is done, you can then open your VS Code. Okay, so you're going to have a new VS window like this. Then you're going to, now let's explore our VS Code a bit. So this is file, where you can be able to create new text file, new file like your HTML file, CSS file. You can create a new window. That's to create a whole new window. If you want, you can open a file. This can take you straight to your computer where you open a new file, just like the way you open a new file in your Microsoft Word and the rest of it. You can open a new folder. So now we're going to go in to create a folder. We're going to create that folder on desktop. So we're going to create a new folder. We're going to call it HTML. So I prefer to save my folder, to name my folders with a lowercase. So you can do the same HTML. Then you can select the folder. After creating it, you click on it again to select the folder. Then you click on select folder. So you can see here HTML. This is the folder, and this arrow down, this is where your files will be once you've created them. This place is empty now because we don't have any file in our folder. So this is one way to create a folder. So you can also create a file from here. You see new file, new folder, to refresh the page. So every project must have its own folder. Every project must have its own folder, just like this HTML I've created. It's a project on its own. When you say I have a project, that HTML I just created now can be regarded as a project. So every file that you need, everything that concerns this HTML is going to be stored in it. So you don't create a project inside a project. So if you have another project, you can create that project in a different folder and call it that whatever name it is. So for this is our project. So we're going to create a new file in our project, and we're going to call it index. So when creating an HTML file, your first file, your home page, is always the index. Sometimes if you are searching through source codes and you want to find out which is the home page, you are actually looking for the index page. So that's why we call this index. You can index, and then every HTML file must be saved with a .html extension. .html extension. That is what tells your browser and your machine that this is a HTML file. So treat it as such. So we're going to add .html and save it. Okay, so you can see the signs here. Now let's assume we just created index without HTML. You see, this sign is a sign of a text document. So this, it will be treated like an ordinary text. But when you are in, let's say you type hello world here, your browser will see this as an ordinary text. But you see this one, index.html, they are showing the same, but they are actually not the same. So your browser will treat this as a HTML document because it's actually you have saved it with the .html extension. All right, so HTML has syntax. HTML has syntax. There's what we call the boilerplate. Boilerplate is more like a template for HTML, a foundation where you start, where you begin all your HTML code, where you write all your HTML code. So that boilerplate has three parts. It has the head, the body, and the foot. So we're going to break it like this. First, you begin with the doc type. Okay, let's do this first. Now, using this short code, which is you put exclamation mark and you hit the tab button, it will automatically give you the boilerplate, the HTML boilerplate. But on your own, you should learn how to write this. So if you're writing it on your own, it's going to look something like this. Okay. So we have the open tag and the closed tag. So this is an example of an open tag. So please don't feel frustrated. This class is actually for a total beginner, someone who has never coded before and just wants to learn about HTML. That is why I'm going through all the nitty-gritty details. Okay, so this represents an open tag, and this with a forward slash and a backward arrow represents a closed tag. So when you see this, it's open. When you see this, it's closed. So now we're going to, okay, sorry, let's bring that back. So the first, you're going to have HTML here. You can see it as, because of the extension I'm using, it's auto-filling this for me. So when I type in the open tag, it's automatically typed in the closed tag. It's because of an extension I'm using. But here, you can type it yourself, HTML, HTML. So this is open HTML tag, and this is the closed HTML tag. All right, so these spacing are very necessary when you're coding. But before, and this HTML is known as the root element, the root or the parent element. So when you hear elements and tags in HTML, they are actually the same. So HTML tags, HTML elements, you will hear me use them interchangeably. So this is the root element or the root HTML tag. Every tag live inside this root tag. This is more like, it only makes sense that it's a HTML file, and everything is wrapped inside the HTML. So when you have the open HTML, closed HTML, every other tag goes inside of this guys, this HTML. Every other tag go inside of it. So you have the head, like what I said before, the head tag, you have the body tag. So you have the head and the body tag. Now these are the parts of your HTML, but the first, okay, I remember saying it has head, body, and foot. So I was just trying to, use the illustration of the body so you can easily remember. So they are all wrapped inside the HTML. So you have the HTML is like the whole human body. Then we have a head and a body. So the HTML is like a person, okay? Then the head and then the body. So these are the two parts. So in the head tag, you have every information about the website goes into the head tag. Information like the title, information like linkings, like where other files are coming from, where you link your CSS. So let me just give two important things that stay in the head tags to avoid confusion. One is the title. The title tag lives in the head, and the other one is link, which is the link. You can see the link is different from the others. It's because it's self-closing. It's self-closing. It's not like the title. So when you see a tag that doesn't have this other part of it, it's called a self-closing tag. So we also have self-closing tag. There are varieties of them. All right. So um now the title and the link is just to link your CSS to your HTML. They all live in the head. Then and everything that lives in the head, there are things that you do not see on the browser. You don't see them on the body of your browser. Anything you put in the head, you won't see in the body of your browser. That's the content part of your web page. But everything you put in the body are the things you want your audience to see, are the things you want people to see, the things that shows on the body of the browser. So for instance, you're browsing Facebook, everything you see on Facebook they are all laid out inside the body of the HTML. So here we have other tags that live here is one, the heading, which is represented as H1. You can say the heading, but instead of typing it in full, we'll just say H1. So H1 is the biggest of all heading. Okay, then we also have H2. H2 is the like a subheading, a heading that follows the H1, and we have these up to 6. So and they are all different by size. H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. Okay, so we're going to type in here hello world, sorry, and we're going to duplicate this so we can see the effects in the on the browser. Hello world, hello world. So let's do this way. All right, so all these are different sizes of heading, H1 down to H6. You will see the effect when we preview this on the browser. Then the other tag that lives in the body is the paragraph tag. So you can say this is my first paragraph. All right, so this is it. So now there's something we do not have here, which tells us what kind of document this is. So I didn't put it at first because whether you have it or not, your code will still run. But it is important that you put it to tell your browser, sorry, to tell your machine that this is actually a the kind of document. It tells the machine the kind of document this is. So exclamation type doc type HTML. Okay, so document type, this means document type HTML, telling your browser that this document is a HTML document. Then before you begin with your open HTML, remember every open tag must have a corresponding closing tag. Then in between, if you know how we started, we have the head, we have the body, then we started filling in the things that are needed in the head, like the eyes, the nose, we have the title. So we can call this my first HTML as the title of our heading. You'll see where this is going to reflect. So we use this later. Okay, let's comment this out. So this represents comments in HTML. How do you write this? Let's go back. You write a comment in HTML by using this exclamation dash dash. Okay, then the closing tag dash dash, the same thing, closing tag. Let's cut this and bring it here. So this represents a comment in HTML. This is HTML comment. So comments are used to explain your code or comment out something that you are going to use later, but you do not need now. So instead of deleting it, you know you still use it. Like this link, we'll use it later, so we're just commenting it out for now. So to use it later. So let's use it here so that we can remember it. HTML comments used to explain your code. So what are we explaining here? We're explaining that below we have our different sizes of headings, that's of HTML headings. Okay, so this is it for your HTML. Now let's try to preview this. So how do you view this on your browser? Either you install an extension called Go Live. So when you click on it, it runs it automatically for you. But as a beginner, I prefer you do things manually so you can understand how it works. So just come to your index of HTML, right click on it. You can see, don't do this yet. You can see open review in file explorer, review in file explorer. Click on that. It will take you to where the HTML is saved in your computer, and you see this is it. You can see because we are using .html extension, it has this Chrome icon on it to show that it's a web document, but this one that is just a text, you see it's showing that it's a text document. So double click on this and you see hello world, and this is my first paragraph. So this is your first HTML code. All right, hello world. You see the different sizes of the heading. Now let's quickly do something. Let's try to do a beginner side of CSS to try to add color to and a little bit of style to this, to our web page. All right, so remember the heading before we go further. Remember the heading session where I said the things that go into the heading, you don't see them on the browser. You see our title is not showing here, but you can see it up here. You can see it, my first HTML. Now this is the title. So whatever you see here on any browser, know that that is the title of that browser in their code. Then this is the body of your code. All right, so let's go back. So for CSS, just like we have index.css, we can say style, index.html, we can say style.css. You must use the CSS extension to tell your browser that this is a CSS document, so treat it as such. So now in our HTML, we have the head, we have the body. So if we want to style H1, we come to the style here and we'll say, H1. So CSS syntax. So CSS also have syntax, and the syntax is the elements, curly braces, and the elements and curly braces. Then you have what is called properties and value. The property is what do you want to style about H1. So we can say we want to style the color of H1. Then what is the value you want to give to that property, the color property. Let's say we want to give it blue. So this is the syntax for HTML, which is elements with a curly bracket, or you can call it selector. You can call it the selector. So H1 is the selector, meaning we have selected H1. We have used H1 to select. We come here and say H1, meaning select H1 from index.html and give it a color or a property with a value of blue. So that is this. This is the syntax. Every CSS, this is how it is. All right. So now let's go to remember, you must always save your work. Control S to save. Mine is on auto save. That's why you've seen me just typing and I've not been saving. So Control S, make sure you save your work. If you don't save it, you won't see the effects in the front. So Control S to save. Let's go back to our browser. Normally you will refresh your browser, but now that there is no blue here. Why? The effect of the CSS is not showing yet because we have not linked our CSS to the HTML. So let's come back to now. How do we link this? In our HTML, we have to tell HTML. Remember, we commented this out. Now we want to use it, we'll uncomment it. Okay. Remember, we want to tell HTML that there is a file called style.css in this project. So please look for it and use it to style this HTML. So now, all right, so now we're going to say there are two important properties and value that we are going to give to our link. The first one is the rel, which means relationship. What is the relationship between the file we are looking for and this document? So the relationship is that it is a style sheet. Then the next one is the href. Href means hypertext reference. Hypertext reference, meaning we are referencing that file. Now, what are we referencing? We are referencing style.css. So you are going to type it exactly how it is, style.css. If you make a mistake, you will not see the effect. So it's this, we are referencing style.css, and style.css is what is a style sheet. That's the relationship between the CSS and HTML. Now it is linked. We have saved, Control S. We'll go back to our browser and we refresh, and you see hello world is now, H1 is now blue. Okay, so this is how you can style your HTML. This is how you link your HTML to your CSS and also style it. Next, you can do something else. Okay, you can center it. You can say text align, center. So these properties are properties that you will learn as you keep learning. You will be knowing them. Okay, so don't try to learn everything at once. You have them. You can go to w3schools.com to learn about these properties, the CSS properties, and more on this HTML. To w3schools.com to learn about basic CSS properties. Let's Control S this and refresh. You see our hello world is now centered. So that is what CSS can do to your HTML. We can also add font family. Let's use something bold. Let's see how this would look. Okay, you see, it has a difference. So that's how you can change. Okay, so now I advise you to do everything I have done exactly the same way and try to play around with the CSS, and you can add more content to your HTML. You can even build a simple blog with what you have learned today. What are the contents of a blog? Adding, having a heading, a few paragraphs, and a picture, an image. That is a simple HTML blog. So for your assignment, I have not taught you about how to add image to your HTML. I'll do that in the next video. So for this video, that will be your assignment. So we'll do it together in the next video. Do a simple HTML blog, a heading, a meaningful heading, few paragraphs talking about the heading, and add a picture, an image about that topic to it, and see how you do. Add some colors, some centering, and the rest of it to test your skill on what you have learned today. So thank you very much, and please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and we will keep learning more about basic programming. All right, bye.